I wanted to share a few experiences that I've had around thought transference or telepathy that proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt the reality of the situation, and that actual thought had transferred between another person and myself. And it proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt, you're free to have your own beliefs and ideas about what this might mean. I only can share my own experience. Again, at this time, at the time of the first experience, I was living in New York City, and I had been studying Japanese karate, and in the course of that, we also did what's called a zazen meditation, which is mostly just sitting quietly, watching your breath. And I was practicing a walking meditation, basically doing that, stilling my thoughts by just simply being quiet, allowing any thoughts to just come in and leave. Was paying attention to my breathing, and I was walking down the street, and I felt a tension in my stomach, kind of below my navel, because someone who was a couple hundred yards away from me had suddenly focused on me and was started to make a beeline across the street towards me. And I felt this tension, and I asked myself, is he a threat? Because, you know, all of a sudden this guy sees me and he's coming right towards me. And then my body just relaxed. I felt the tension release, and the thought came clear into my head, no, he just wants to know where Key Food is. And Key Food was a grocery store that was around the corner from where we were at that point. He was maybe a block and a half away from it. And he had to come up to me, and I had to, I was feeling a little funny at that point, because it's like, he's going to come up here and he's going to ask me where Key Food is. And I almost told him the grocery store was around the corner before he had a chance to ask me anything. But I didn't. I waited for him to go ahead and say it, and he came up to me and he says, "Where's Key Food? Or do you know where Key Food is?" And I said, I was probably had a stupid grin on my face while he was doing this, because it was such an odd situation. And then I told him, "Yes, it's around the corner, sure," and he went off. At that time, I was also in art school, studying painting and sculpture, and I had a good friend with whom I had a fairly strong rapport, and we were heading out to his place on the train out into Long Island. And at that time, we had a teacher who was very annoying to both of us, but to pretty much the whole class that had to deal with him. And I was feeling pretty irritated with some things he had done during that day, and I was thinking about him, and his name was Paul. And I was thinking about Paul this, Paul that, Paul, because, I was just really stewing over the guy at that moment. And my friend who was walking ahead of me on the train platform, he starts looking around like there's a bee buzzing around his head, and he looks up and he goes, "What's this Paul in my head?" And that was pretty shocking to me. And then I told him that I'd been sitting here thinking about Paul, but we thought it was very interesting, and confirmed a lot of things that we were also experiencing, because I have to admit that this guy that I was with is one of the more openly psychic peoples that I have met. Now, some people may not believe this or that, but this for me was a flat-out confirmation. I was thinking these thoughts, he picked them up. Then we went back to his house after having this experience, and he got the idea to mix together 3 decks of cards. And he told me there was this game that they used to play in his family when he was young called the psychic game, and they mixed the cards up, and one person would take the card and they'd project the card into the other person's head, and he said, drill it right down between their eyes, visualize it. And he played the receiver. I was the receiver and he was the sender. He mixed these 3 decks of cards together, and he sent me the cards, and I saw the images in my head, and I got 5 cards. The first 5 cards we did, 5 cards in a row, the exact card, the exact suit, color, everything. It was like the 3 of diamonds and the Queen of spades and the King of clubs and the 5 of clubs, and and by the time we'd hit the 5th card in a row, we were just hysterical and having so much fun. But we also could completely blown our concentration for doing any more of that. But